For years, people laughed at anyone who talked about UFOs. If you said the government might be hiding something, people called you crazy. But then Joe Rogan started having guests on his podcast who sounded dead serious. And suddenly, the whole conversation changed. One guest described seeing objects move in ways that should be impossible. These things weren't flying like normal jets. They could stop instantly, change direction in a split second, then off at insane speeds. According to him, a human body couldn't survive those kinds of turns. A regular pilot would be crushed instantly. They were showing me objects that were flying at, and granted, I'm not not an astrophysicist by any stretch of imagination, but they were showing me things that were flying at speeds that were just that nothing compares. And the angles that they were taking would literally, and I've said this before and it grosses people out, but it would turn you or me into a ketchup package. I mean, you go this way and then boom, you're going this way. And we have no capability of any of it. And now I've been briefed so many times from on and different groups. We scrub missions because these things are out there. And then we tell everybody that's involved to keep your mouth shut. And then if you're a pilot and you come back and say, "Hey, I've seen this," you immediately pulled off the flight line. I'm not a pilot or military person, but flight line, is what I call it. They're not able to fly and they're given a psych evaluation and they're given an 8H hour. They call it a debriefing. I've been told by some of the officers that have been involved, it's really just an interrogation and then you got that hanging on your record. And so it influences them to stop. They just keep their mouth shut. I literally had a guy tell me, Joe, that he said his recorder, it was an older style plane, and I think he said it was close to his right knee. And when he got that on his recorder, he started smashing it with his right knee to discombobulate it so that it wasn't even because he didn't want anything. He did not need it. He saw it. He didn't need it in on his record. Even if he saw it and it was on a dadgum tape, they drag you in. And so, myself, Luna, and Matt Gates went down to Florida to be briefed by Matt, was told that some pilots had seen some things and they had some photographs. And so we go down there and again, we go in. I told Matt, I said, "Matt, they don't give up this stuff easy. We're going to go down there and I have a bad feeling they're going to turn us out. Turn us out." Well, we went down there and Joe, they briefed us on some very serious issues that they were dealing with the Chinese and communist infiltration and things going on around Florida in the ocean. Some people believe powerful defense companies and intelligence groups may already know more than they admit. There were even claims about secret underwater bases and objects moving underwater at speeds no submarine on Earth can reach 61 moving. No, I took an auto drive. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow. Even former presidents have made confusing comments over the years. Some joked about aliens, then later acted like they never meant it seriously. That only made people more suspicious. I would run to the White House. I demand to see all the classified files on the UFOs because I want to know. I'd want to know what has been going on. Did you do that? Sort of. But the darkest moment of the discussion came when they talked about missing researchers, military officials, and scientists connected to UFO investigations. Some online communities believe certain people disappeared after getting too close to sensitive information. Others think it's all coincidence. What are we getting wrong about this? Why should we keep looking at it? Well, look, anytime you have experts in the national security arena either disappearing or in some cases dying in prematurely and not necessarily a natural way, we have to look at this very closely. We can go back even to the 1940s during the Manhattan Project when we knew Russia was trying to target a lot of our scientists and try to learn some of our atomic secrets. This is nothing new. What is new, though, is that we have these scientists, these engineers, and senior military officials that are completely unaccounted for. Some of these individuals had very high security clearances, top secret SCI security clearances. Anytime that would happen in any other country, Russia, China, obviously would be a problem. This is happening here in the United States, and there are some very interesting common ties that at least some some of these individuals have with one another. And that is the UAP topic, ironically enough. So, and you say this isn't you referring to culture or history, you're saying you talked to some of these people and what happened doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. In fact, several of the people that you have on your list right there that you showed, I personally spoke with years ago, and talked to myself, and it was about the UAP topic and their work in that arena. But there's also, you said something and it's absolutely accurate. There's other individuals that are not on that list that I am personally aware of that might actually be associated with it. There is an individual that somebody, Chris Mellon, who's been on your show before, was going to talk to about 2.5, 3 years ago. He was a few days away from meeting this individual. He was an engineer, apparently, on the legacy U.S. government's legacy UAP effort and mysteriously died right before the meeting. There's another individual whom I spoke with. He reached out to me. I'm going to protect his identity here for the sake of his family. But he did meet an untimely end. He was a senior special agent at the Department of Energy, and he worked specifically in the Inspector General's shop, the IG shop. He was the most senior special agent for the Department of Energy. And he was talking to me about coming out and talking to Congress about what he knows within DOE and the files, the UAP files that they're holding on to. He was very upset, and he felt like he was a whistleblower. So I was arranging for this individual to actually meet with certain members of Congress. His wife, who is a doctor for the Veterans Affairs, walks in one evening after work and finds him dead on the sofa. Still, the timing of some cases has fueled non-stop speculation. Then came the most unsettling theory of all. What if humanity doesn't fully understand its own purpose? What if humans are part of something much bigger, something hidden from the public for decades? Nobody has claimed to have definitive proof, but recent developments have completely changed what we knew about alien presence on Earth. After Donald Trump suddenly released a huge batch of UFO files, the internet exploded. The files came straight from the Defense Department, packed with old reports, strange sightings, military footage, and unexplained cases involving mysterious objects in the sky. Trump posted online that people could now decide for themselves, asking what the hell is going on before ending the message with, "Have fun and enjoy." Fox News alert. The Trump administration releasing the first batch of files related to UFOs and alien life. So, is the truth really out there? Senior White House correspondent Peter Ducey joins us live with the details. What have you learned, Peter? Good morning. So, a White House official left this hard drive on my desk overnight. You can see on it, it says AO Files Copy 203. That is the All Domain Resolution Office Copy 203. This is the first big batch of UFO disclosure ordered by President Trump. Some of the clips and videos on there have popped up different places before. Some of them have not. And we have been going through this all morning and overnight to try to put together some of the best videos so we can all look at this together. This is a world exclusive right here. So, let's go to the first clip. Over the skies of the United Arab Emirates in June 2024. An inverted teardrop with a vertically linear trailing mass as described by the War Department suspended below. The War Department cannot say for sure what this is. It is officially listed as an unresolved UAP report. The next video, Over the Skies of Iraq, December 2022, moving bottom left to top right of the field of view. All CENTCOM gets from this is an area of contrast. That's what they describe it as. It is officially still listed as an unresolved UAP report. Next video, Over the Skies of Greece, October 2023. What is described as a small and circular UAP flying near the surface of the ocean towards land. CENTCOM can't tell us what it is. It is officially listed as an unresolved UAP report. Within the last 2 minutes, all of these videos have gone live on war.gov/UFO. And a White House official tells Fox First, while past administrations sought to discredit or dissuade the American people, President Trump is focused on providing maximum transparency to the public, who can ultimately make up their own minds about the information contained in these files. To millions of people, it sounded like the biggest UFO disclosure in modern history. But almost immediately, critics started asking a different question. Why now? That's where Joe Rogan entered the conversation. Rogan had already been openly questioning several actions from the Trump administration earlier in the year. According to Rogan, some major political events felt strangely timed. During one discussion, he suggested that controversial immigration raids and non-stop media chaos may have helped bury growing public attention surrounding the Epstein files. Soon, other political figures started saying similar things. Congressman Thomas Massie even joked online that aliens had become the ultimate weapon of mass distraction, arguing the Epstein story was not going away no matter what headlines appeared next. At the age of 14, these girls that were being by Jeffrey Epstein were told if they could go find another girl to take their place, then they wouldn't have to be. And some of them took that deal. It's one thing to be evil to a child. It's another thing to get a child to do evil. I think it's bigger than Watergate. It's bigger than Iran contract. I agree with that. I think this is the biggest scandal in American history. I don't know how else to describe it, just the lengths that so many powerful people have gone to cover this up. Just the fact that it spans multiple presidential administrations because Obama's DOJ didn't fully prosecute and investigate this. Biden's DOJ didn't either. Trump's first term DOJ didn't. So, you have 4 essential presidential administrations that have not taken this seriously. It does feel like a bigger scandal to me. It's something that's been going on for decades. Suddenly, the UFO release wasn't just about aliens anymore. It became part of a much bigger argument about secrecy, power, and what governments choose to focus public attention on. Now, what's really interesting about this is that there aren't just dubious whistleblowers talking about this. Another name has recently stepped into the spotlight when it comes to UFO whistleblowing: Eric Burles. And unlike internet conspiracy channels or anonymous whistleblowers, Burles was speaking as a sitting member of Congress. During multiple television interviews, he claimed the public had only seen the beginning of what the government knows. I'm coming at this issue after seeing and investigating this for several years, is that I still don't know what this is, but I know that there's something out there. So, when you see objects that are flying that are not really actually using normal flight, when they're taking sharp right turns, when they're going from 0 to Mach 3 instantaneously, that's not conventional technology. And there's something that is really aiding our U.S. airspace, in particular, our military airspace. I've seen that footage. I've seen those objects. I've seen photographs of them. Something is up there. I just don't know what it is and what the origin is, but we need to get to the bottom of it. The video that you're describing, are those the videos you hope the government releases for the American public and really the world to see? The way you're describing them, is that what we're talking about here? Yeah. And there's a treasure trove of videos that exist that we often have whistleblowers come to us and talk to us about. Sometimes they're able to show us. And my expectation is that this administration is going to be releasing those files. And if they don't, then the break last moment would be for a member of Congress like myself to go and release those under the speech and debate clause in a committee hearing or in some other formal fashion. I've been watching your interviews all day, and you say these files will change people's perspectives on what's out there. Are you convinced from what's been released that we are not alone? Do you need further proof? What are you thinking, Congressman, with the videos that we've all seen and the ones that will trickle down hopefully in the next week or two? Yeah, I can't conclude that what we're seeing is non-human intelligence, but what I can conclude is that there's somebody's got a form of technology that is mind-blowing technology that's flying above our airspace, and whether it's us or our adversaries, foreign governments or other, is something that we really need to get to the bottom of. Burles explained that members of Congress and oversight committees had already been briefed by military pilots, intelligence officers, admirals, and other high-ranking officials. According to him, many of these people described strange objects interfering with military bases and training exercises. Some of the reports were serious enough that Congress opened investigations. That uncertainty became the center of the entire debate. If these objects aren't alien and they aren't American, then who do they belong to? Some people believe secret government programs are hiding advanced technology from the public. Others think private defense contractors may know more than they admit. Burley's even hinted that some answers could be buried deep inside classified projects connected to powerful corporations working alongside the government. And he made something very clear. Congress may eventually force those files into public view. At one point, he openly talked about subpoenas and possible congressional action if agencies refuse to cooperate. That comment instantly fueled theories that parts of the government may still be hiding information even from elected officials. The more Burley's talked, the stranger the story became. If you go to the page do.gov are UFOs, you'll be able to find these documents. And you scroll to the very end, you'll see two documents that I think are the most interesting and compelling based on briefings that I've had. And I was very pleased to see that they've actually disclosed these events because they're startling events, mostly having to do with glowing orbs, and the interaction with our at our military bases. One of the events that occurred recently is an event where we had multiple intelligence officials, senior intelligence officials, along with aircraft personnel and other people that were at one of our military bases, and saw UAPs even getting in a helicopter to go intercept them, and we're able to see a demonstration of technological superiority that we do not possess. Probably he's released everything, and no matter what he releases, people are like, it's never enough. Where I'm at is I'm glad President Trump is releasing these. I think I'm frustrated, and I'm sure you are as well, that we still don't know what this is that we're being shown. It's almost like cool, release the files, and I'm like, what am I looking at? And I think we all want the answers, and maybe the answers aren't there. It's concerning that we don't know what it is, and if it is a threat or not. I guess we don't know. Maybe we'll see. I'm hopeful. I want to see the ET. I want the little aliens like on the, little table or whatever, or walking around like Men in Black. I want to see aliens. Maybe it's just spacecraft we're talking about. Congressman, thank you so much for sharing what you know. And hopefully as these releases come out, we can understand a little bit more about what it is. And I guess we'll see. It's fascinating nonetheless. It is fascinating. But these fiery orbs, these last two documents, everyone should read. I've seen these videos. They do exist. Fiery orbs, all right? That's what I'm looking at. Fiery orbs, literally the second this interview is over, and I hope everyone does as well. He admitted he still does not know what these objects are. He said intelligence officials also do not know. And according to him, that might be the most frightening part of all, because if the most advanced military on Earth cannot identify these objects, then something is flying through restricted airspace. With technology nobody understands. Filmmaker Dan Farah has also sat across from Rogan and described what he called an 80-year government cover-up involving recovered craft, secret programs, and possible contact with non-human beings. We had a similar dynamic for the Manhattan Project. There were always people working on it and they kept it secret, right? And their neighbors and friends didn't know, but this is that on steroids. After the Manhattan Project, Bill had a budget in the billions, this situation arose. And it had to be even more secret than the Manhattan Project, because the Manhattan Project, we found out in hindsight, leaked, right? There were moles, right? So we needed to make this even more secret and give it more money and more resources and more, counter intel and more threats, which is counter intel. Yeah? Yeah. I mean, threats if you reveal those secrets. But it's like the more this stuff gets discussed, the more I go back to what Lazar said, because what Lazar is describing from the 1980s is exactly what these people are saying now. They've had these things. They've been trying to figure them out. They've been working on them. At least in the 1980s, they hadn't totally cracked it yet. But they did know how to operate them and that they would do these tests. But everything was so compartmentalized. He said he wasn't allowed to talk to the metallurgist. There was different people that were assigned to it. What they were assigned to do was to try to figure out how the propulsion system worked. Yeah? And then there was other people that were assigned to try to figure out how the metallurgy was formed, because whatever it was seemed like it was 3D printed. It didn't have any seams. Yeah. And when he talks about it sounds exactly like what people are talking about today, which is really bananas, because this is late 1980s, and he's the first guy to crack through with this stuff. Yeah. Everything is so in that secret program. Everything is so siloed out where you could have one team of defense contractors working on one thing. They're not even told it's from an alien spacecraft. They're just told, here's the thing. It might be Russia. It might be China. Tell us how it works. You and they're just kept in a little bubble. Rogan suggested that if these secret programs are real, there may need to be some kind of amnesty deal for the people involved. Otherwise, nobody would ever admit the truth publicly because too many careers, secrets, and illegal actions could be exposed all at once. Farah agreed. He claimed real whistleblower protections would also be necessary because some insiders fear losing everything if they speak out. And it's not just filmmakers and senators exposing the truth about UFOs. It's also the military. This time it was Michael Herrera, a former Marine who said he encountered a massive unidentified craft during a mission in Indonesia back in 2009. According to Herrera, his unit was helping with humanitarian operations after a disaster, providing security during supply drops. That's when he claims he saw something hovering in the distance. Once there, he saw a rotating object changing colors and emitting a humming sound. After failing to reach his battalion leader, he moved in to investigate and began filming with a small camera. But moments later, Herrera says he was ambushed by men in black as the craft shot towards the ocean at lightning speed without making a sound. Once back at camp, he checked his camera only to find the battery and memory card were gone. So, what happened next? Here to tell us is former U.S. Marine and whistleblower Michael Herrera and UFO researcher Dr. Stephen Greer. Great to see you both. Thank you so much. So, Michael, tell us what happened after you saw the video and you thought it was, the flying object, and then it got deleted, no longer to be seen. Yeah. So, when we got back to it was in Subi Bay in the Philippines, and that's when we were on Liberty. So we ended up having the first night it came back to on ship, and my camera was on my rack. So the memory card and the battery were taken out of that. Did you see it taken out by No? I did not. No. I had it secured in my locker, of course. Okay. And another battery that I had for a backup. So I popped that one in. Nothing happened with that camera. So subsequently, after we got back to Camp Hansen, there was a Air Force lieutenant colonel that met up with us and some of the guys that were with me and basically made us forcefully sign a non-disclosure agreement and a TSSI document that stated that we couldn't talk about what we saw. We were threatened with treason with a capital crime, including death or imprisonment. That claim immediately exploded online because for decades, conspiracy theories about mysterious men in black silencing witnesses had mostly lived in movies, comics, and internet forums. But now, former military personnel were openly describing experiences that sounded disturbingly similar. Then the interview took another controversial turn when Stephen Greer joined the discussion. Greer claimed Herrera may have witnessed not an alien spacecraft, but a highly classified man-made vehicle connected to secret programs hidden from public oversight. The big story that no one wants to talk about is that 80% of the sightings of these objects are man-made and they've been used in human. He saw crates with HVAC systems on them being loaded onto this 300T diameter octagonal UFO, but it was not alien, it was ours. Okay? And so the ones that are man-made are the dominant phenomenon being seen. There are extraterrestrial ones for NHI, non-human intelligence, but that's probably a minority now. And this is the big story, is that the technologies behind those systems have been developed by some call deep state but illegal and unconstitutional program. So tomorrow we're doing a National Press Club event, right, at 3 p.m., where we're going to have multiple whistleblowers like Mr. Herrera to sort of unpack that and expose what's really going on. And of course, the president has ordered a release of many files. But the question is, has he gotten enough information about this? My archive has some 20 terabytes of data. I have 760 whistleblowers. Herrera himself admitted he still worries about safety, saying many insiders hesitate to come forward because they fear losing everything they built their lives around. In fact, there are now fears that the U.S. government may be dealing with technology they can no longer compete with. There are 46 videos that Congress wants the Pentagon to declassify. The Pentagon missed the deadline to do it. But will these 46 videos be convincing enough to have Americans saying, "I have no doubts aliens have visited Earth"? I think that these are data points. I think these 46 videos are really important. I think the American public should be able to see them, and so does Congress. They specifically identified these 46 videos because they know that these videos exist. They are designated UAP by our own military and intelligence services. I have been exposed to a number of these. In fact, George Knapp and I provided that list to Congress. We've actually released some of those videos. So the American public is ready for this. Now, what it's going to tell us, what the end result is going to be, it's another data set of footage the American public can look at. But here is what I know for a fact, Peter. There are machines, there are craft of unknown origin that fly with impunity in our restricted airspace. And our government has been assessing this as a national threat for decades. The jig is up. People now know UAP are real. But what are UAP? Who are flying these machines? Who made these machines that can outpace, outmaneuver, and outperform our greatest warfighters? That's the question. And so you were just talking about this. We've got video that we can put up on the screen. One of the videos that your sources helped you guys get out of a government vault. It is a UAP over Syria in 2021, flying at an impossible speed, demonstrating instantaneous acceleration. This is the video. A lot of people will look at this and say, well, it could be China, it could be Russia, it could be somebody else. But when you see this and the other videos, some of the 45 other videos that you have seen, what do you think? Yeah, look, we do not have the capability, unfortunately, for instantaneous motion. The idea of inertial effect and what would happen, this is baffling to the intelligence community. What George and I put out, it is their analysis that this is demonstrating this craft, which is not aerodynamic. When you look at this video, it instantaneously shoots off to the right once the Reaper drone got a weapons-grade lock on it. So its ability to maneuver far is far beyond anything that China, Russia, or the US has. Look, this is a known secret on the inside. It's an open secret that UAP are real and that they're able to evade sometimes detection, but absolutely our weaponry, and it's an issue because they are oftentimes loitering over sensitive critical infrastructure within the United States. This is not me saying this. This has been admitted by our own administration and government. I think we're closer than ever. That's why the UFO topic no longer feels like a fringe discussion buried deep on the internet. It now sits directly in the middle of politics, national security, military secrecy, and public distrust. What else do you think the government is hiding about aliens from us? Let us know in the comments below.